inside the barriers! Double time! You with the Xeno unit? You're heading to command, far end of the compound. Command post is at the far end of the compound inside the old Terrormorph.
Give him one for me, all right?
Later. Right now, you've got important business. Yes? What?
Don't go into the city much. Never for long. Too risky.
Are you training for some sort of weightlifting competition? on the way you handle things, I might have what you need. Yep.
I pride myself on knowing everyone on this world, and I don't know you. You're with the collection team then, I presume. Either that, or you're one deeply unlucky trespasser. Vanguard, eh? Brief said you were an eclectic group. You must have really shined out on the fringe to get assigned a task like this. Ah, then this must be the rest of your outfit.
Commander Hatum,
No need for introductions, Major Sinon. Dr. Walker, your reputations precede you, as does the urgency of your mission, so I'll get to it. Now, Londinium is one of the most dangerous places in the Milky Way. It's with good reason my soldiers and I do everything we can to avoid entering the city. Terrormorphs are omnipresent, and the structural damage left behind when Major Sinon's father bombed its spaceport has turned large swathes of the metropolis into a decaying labyrinth. As such, we'll be providing you all with gear, information, and uploading municipal unlock codes to your robot. Every tool you could need to succeed out there. Except one. Once you're on the other side of those barriers, you will be on your own. If you get into trouble, my people will not be coming. Do we understand each other? The initial Terrormorph outbreak that overran Londinium during the tail end of the Colony War came as a complete shock. Waves of the creatures appeared out of nowhere, and the city was quickly overwhelmed. There were some attempts at evacuation, but Ve Victus decided more definitive action was merited. He ordered the spaceport to be bombed, ensuring no other ships could leave the city, halting the spread of the outbreak but leaving large sections in ruins and condemning countless lives. And the intervening 20 years have only made Londinium more hostile, not less. So my people will not be coming for you out there. Understood? We are unwanted guests on this planet, and, as a rule, I don't put my people in any more risk than is absolutely necessary. We've got it hard enough out here. So, no, there will be no cavalry sweeping into the rescue. Terrormorphs, and plenty of them, outside our little sanctuary here, much of the planet is theirs. For that reason, we keep our trips into the city to a minimum. That also means our intel becomes largely historical once you go much beyond the defenses. It's also why I want to make sure I'm being crystal clear. Out there, you're on your own. Precisely. I'll leave you to your preparations then. You can find your equipment in our armory, base of the tower just outside. And I do believe there's someone waiting for you there, Captain. Now, once you're outside the base, it's my personal suggestion you make a beeline to the nearby Aceles plant. It contains one of our field caches. Though I can't guarantee it won't contain anything else. I hope you all find what you're looking for out there. Robot, you're coming with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commander. Percival, you all set to hook into their comms tower?
Should only take a few minutes. Let's get this done and get the hell out of here.
Percival will be scanning the city for our samples from here. When he finds one, he'll transmit the coordinates to us out in the field.
Pinpoint's a bit strong.
The equipment will be able to get us a rough location of any acceptable samples in the scan area. It'll be up to you, Kaiser, and I to find the things. All right. Head over to the armory and gear up. Once you're done, we'll meet by the entrance to the city.
Let's get to business then, shall we? The cabinet sent me. They wanted you to have something. Make sure you had the best tools for the task at hand. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Heard you're going out there willingly. Damn. Can't chat right now.
Transfer. My soldiers and I would appreciate it if you try not to draw too much attention to yourselves out there. Systems should shut themselves back down automatically.
Duly noted, Commander.
Looking for the lock to the city? Through there.
All set on your gear? Are you ready to do this? Yeah, just pre-mission jitters. You hear about a place for so long, it maybe gets bigger in your head than it should be. But you don't need to worry about me. I'll be all right. Now, are we doing this or not? Then let's get this show on the road. Kaiser? Percival, everything green on your ends?
I am ready.
Personal comm should be routed through Kaiser now. You copy that?
Roger, loud and clear.
Perhaps too loud.
Oh, you're a riot robot.
Kaiser, kick it off.
Unlock code transmitted. You may open the gate when ready.
Alrighty. On our way into the city. Percival, where are we heading?
Running the first sweep. Got one. A Sealy's. Not far. Old shipping yard just past the processing plant. Gene samples are probably in one of the containers.
Initiating target.
You good? I'm good.
Organic
May stink to high heaven, but
These things.
Critical injury sustained. You'll have to try your safety. Damage sustained. Engaging.
Nice sound of a morph, though.
Your shipping yard's just beyond the processing plant. Cache with some goodies is towards the rear of the facility.
Kaiser, close enough for you to dial in the location of those samples from here?
Yes, they're faint, but I'm detecting multiple valid signatures. I have restored.
and collect as many as you can.
Closer. Closer. Closer now.
This is my favorite part.
Nothing's gonna save you. Nothing's gonna save you.
Never met.
Evaluation insufficient.
I'm coming for you.
It's too strong. Give up now.
Samples collected.
All right. Now hand those over to Kaiser, and let's get out of here.
Samples secure.
Nice work. Now, earlier scan picked up a valid Terrormorph sample, but, well, it's in the spaceport. And the quick route there looks like it got blasted when the port did.
There are steam tunnels under the city. which will allow us to access the spaceport.
What do you... That's right. Kaiser, how did you know that?
I am not sure.
Percival, you see any better option?
Not from where I'm standing.
You've got our answer.
Access unlocked. We may proceed.
Is all that junk really necessary? I don't know about you. If you're looking for something... Goodbye.
hope Cora doesn't get too much. Share the wealth, right? Take it easy.
Kaiser, this flora, this is Lazarus plant, isn't it?
Confirmed.
You know, no one even realized it was a living thing until someone got it under a microscope and saw it had cells. Can't be cultivated anywhere but Londinian. A real marvel.
Use that for crafting or profit?
Leeches. What's keeping you things warm? What's that? My God, look at it. A Lazarus in bloom. You know, we might be some of the only... What's happening? Captain, have you seen this? The heat leeches are Terrormorphs.
What? Those little nuisances can do that? Holy mother.
You just saw that, right? You would tell me if I was losing my mind. That heat leech became a Terrormorph. The pests that have snuck onto every planet are baby Terrormorphs. Heat leeches hide out in ships, sneak away after landing, and then, with time, they transform. We just found out how Terrormorphs move between planets. That I don't have an answer for right now. But if they share a genome, like most nymphs and adults do, the microbe should have no problem dealing with heat leeches and Terrormorphs. The Aciles we'll have to look into. But given what we know about the creatures, I wouldn't be shocked to find that they've got an appetite for both. No, Lazarus plants can't grow anywhere but here, let alone blossom. People have tried. Plus, if what we just witnessed was happening anywhere else, well, it wouldn't just be Londinian lost to these things. What we just saw, it must be some kind of alternate growth method. One that winnows 70 years of maturation into seconds. It's incredible. Pretty major is right. But if what we just saw, if that's possible, the Lazarus plant, it's clearly an accelerant for the Terrormorph, a heat leech transformation process. Make one into the other in an instant. But that means if anyone knew about this, they could trigger a Terrormorph spawning. You could sneak a leech into a city, or even multiple leeches, into a place like New Atlantis. Good God. The attack on New Atlantis, could someone have set that up? But first, you'd have to know the truth about all this.
Well, we're never gonna know if you don't catch that thing. Get after it!
We may proceed.
Go!
Got the cell data. The New Atlantis and Tau Ceti attacks, right?
Uploaded them myself.
Captain, let Kaiser take a look at that sample.
Beginning analysis. It is a match. This suggests with high certainty that the Lazarus plant was used to trigger the attacks on both planets.
There's no way a plant this rare, this fragile, just shows up here, New Atlantis, and Tau Ceti. The transformations on those worlds, they must have been triggered by human hands. Captain, do you understand what it is we just stumbled on here? Exactly. Someone saw the Lazarus plant in action and used it to trigger the attacks.
Using implements of nature as weapons of war. Where have I heard that before?
Our Xenoweapons group never dealt with anything like this, though they probably would have liked to. No, whoever found this, they likely never expected they'd get caught. Makes some sense, actually. Tau Ceti was likely their first test, someplace remote where no one would question a few settlers going missing. Ensure the big show, the attack on New Atlantis, would be a success. And the timing of that one, it couldn't have been just luck that it happened right when we were asking the cabinet to do something about the Terrormorphs. These attacks, I think someone planned them to set all this in motion. It can't. At least, I didn't think it could. But maybe if we're right about this, someone found a way. They certainly were. But having this answer, well, it raises a couple big questions. Who could pull something like this off? And why?
Let's save the discussion for when you all aren't standing in the universe's closest equivalent to hell frozen over. If we're gonna do anything to prevent more Terrormorph attacks, human caused or otherwise, we need that final sample.
Roger that. Kaiser, get us into the spaceport?
The entrance is this way.
Something.
Sufficient power to the lock mechanism.
Anyone got ideas where we could get some extra juice?
Local power looks like it was controlled in the security office. Upper floor.
Captain and I can scout it out. Kaiser, see if you can't find another way to get it open.
Roger that. I have restored power to the office entrance. You may proceed.
There's the control panel. Still looks operable. Of all the things to survive.
Diagnostic complete. Multiple systems unavailable. Warning, priority safety concern detected. Exterior hatch power restored.
Back in business.
Warning, emergency recorder message detected. Transcription process engaged. Playback initiated.
Admiral Center, we need to make the evacuation request.
That's my father he's addressing. He was here? Didn't think he'd have the guts to look those soldiers in the eye before blowing this place to pieces.
Admiral!
It just transformed. An invisible weapon. No planet would be safe. Colonel, the troops that closed off the sewers after my evaluation, they're all in this facility.
Other than our casualties, yes, sir.
Good. Get them into defensive positions around the spaceport. No one leaves. I'll send ships as soon as possible.
Thank God. None of us wanted to go down swarmed by those things.
That won't be your fate, Colonel. You have my word.
Transcription complete. Physical copy available.
An invisible weapon. He knew. He knew about the Lazarus plant. Grab that recording. We should talk. Hey, Victus. He destroyed this place. Killed these people to keep what he knew about the Lazarus plant and the Terrormorphs and all this a secret. Didn't he? He saw the potential of the plant as a weapon and hid it away. He killed those people. Condemned this city to keep them from sharing what they might have seen. He was
No way that justifies slaughtering his own troops. Way to go, UC. Classy as always.
a calculated loss. These soldiers for the rest of the galaxy. That sounds exactly like what my father would do. But it doesn't. It can't justify slaughter. But I guess that's just another part of his sick legacy now. He thought he was protecting us all, taking the secret to his grave. Only he didn't succeed. Now someone else knows about the Lazarus plant and is using it exactly how he feared. Now's not the time to joke like that, all right? No. That's insane. He died. They executed him. They faked his death? My entire unit, they threw us all to the wolves, but kept him? And now he's what, an advisor? Commanding the fleet in secret? What was so important that they had to keep him alive? I'm sure they did. They invested so much in him over the years. Even grew him an entire family he didn't want.
Vay Victus is still breathing? Goddamn typical UC. Can't trust him to do a single goddamn thing right.
I guess it makes sense though, doesn't it? The UC of that era only created me because they were afraid of a world without Vay Victus in command. Why would they get rid of him? As long as I live, I'll never understand the loyalty that old bastard elicited. But wait, if my father's alive and knew about the Lazarus plant, what do you think the chances are he was involved in the attacks? Good point. Deal with one monster at a time. Let's go get that final sample. Eyes peeled.
Connection received. Broadcasting signal.
Look, it's working. They're attacking the anomaly. Percival, are you doing this?
That's not me. I'm just nullling out the frequency.
We freed them, and they're helping us.
I've still got more capacity. Get to the next dish. No signal on guard.
It's working.
It's got me! It's got me! Where are you?
One more dish, and I should be able to shut it down completely. No signal at full power. That should be the end of its connection to its throne.
You will be leaving here alive.
Now hit it with everything you've got.
They're going to eat you alive.
Guess we should grab that sample while we can.
Good. Let them stash that sample in Kuiper and we're done.
Final sample secure.
All wrapped up. Time to get the hell out of here. Percival, you should unplug and find somewhere we can talk. Privately.
On it. See you soon.
Something's moving out there.
Look at all of you. Back from the underworld. Got pretty frantic on the comms towards the end there. But it sounded like this was a success. Got everything we need to put this plan in motion. Can't be positive until we run some tests. But knowing that the Terrormorphs have been masquerading as heat leeches all this time is a big find. Arguably makes things more feasible, now that we know what we're dealing with, not less.
Agreed. Plus, I don't think you're gonna have to push real hard to get folks on board with cleaning up one of the galaxy's greatest pests if this is what they're capable of.
But none of that's getting done without the samples. You do have them, right? Ah, this place for them. Now, my connection might have gotten a bit fuzzy there, but do I have it right that Ve Victus knew about this damn plant?
That's what it sounded like.
Guess the old Admiral must have told someone what he learned. Even he's not clever enough to pull off an attack like that from the great beyond.
It's a bit more complicated than that.
I'm sorry, what? He's pulling my leg, right? Adrian?
No, I don't believe he is.
So that means we have a suspect.
I believe that's exactly what that means. Look, Captain. Percival and we need to get these samples back to the lab. Ensure we'll be able to handle cleaning up the leeches as well as the Terrormorphs. But Ve Victus is the only solid lead we've got on the attacks. Since you're the only one who knows where he is, can you speak to him? See if you can get him to cough up anything he might know. Captain, I truly don't. He's already shown he's taken an interest in you. I'll be a lot more useful in the lab right now than I would be grilling Francois. So do you think you could do it? Please? Plenty of people out there with grudges against the UC, but he's the only one we know had any knowledge of the Lazarus plant. So right now, it's the only option we've got. Will you do it? Whatever you can turn up is more than we have now. We'll all meet back at Mast, outside the cabinet chambers. They're gonna want to know everything we've uncovered here. Best of luck, Captain. And thank you for dealing with him.
Terrormorphs are heat leeches. Considering what else we found, that might be the least surprising discovery of the day. So someone's figured out how to use the Terrormorphs as weapons. Thought we'd learned our lesson.
Must have didn't get eaten, huh? Good for you.
Do keep in mind our status on this world. Outside these walls, there be dragons. Sensors picked up quite a ruckus over at the old spaceport. I presume that was your doing. I hope to learn someday what exactly your little endeavor was.
Pardon.
Captain Richard, do you require my assistance?
Ship's good. Buckle up and let's go.
Orbital insertion completed.
Jello again.
this orbit immediately. The United Colonies will not be held responsible for any harm you suffer by proceeding. Let me check my log. Proceeding along designated vector. You're cleared. Head straight for the base. Proceed to the landing zone and be careful. We can't guarantee your safety if you... Proceed to the surface.
Your cargo's mine.
Nice! They just lost their grav drive. Grav drive.
Withdrawals, bitch. You have my sympathies.
Good to see you.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinian of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for? I haven't been to Londinian in many years. Why? Is there some way I could be of assistance? Were you able to recover what you were looking for? Now, what in the heavens would make you claim something as ludicrous as that? Did you? Well, I don't know what you think you heard on this recording, but I sincerely hope you didn't come to the wrong conclusions. After all, given the Cabinet's current state of anxiety, they might misinterpret such a discovery to mean I could have been involved with the attacks. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us. Of course. Do I look like I'm in any position to do what you're describing? So I'd very much appreciate your agreement to not share what you found. We wouldn't want anyone else jumping to conclusions now, would we? You know, you're far more clever than I expected. You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terrormorph attacks on Tau Ceti, New Atlantis, my doing. Years of coordination between my associate and I, figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinian, learning to synthesize it, use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing. All in due time. First, I want to see if you're truly as astute as you appear. So why would someone like me go through all this trouble? Not a bad thought. But no, the attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's Terrormorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential. These were the final days of the colony war, Captain. Freestar Collective had spies everywhere. I was concerned that if word got out, the Collective could swoop down, start breeding Lazarus plants, and overrun our worlds with waves of Terrormorphs. Just like what was happening on Londinium at that very moment. Sealing off the city to prevent mass death, it was the only option that made sense at the time. Simple to say now, but with the outbreak raging from a barely understood source, the moment demanded quick action. So I did what was required. I removed a dangerous variable from an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. So I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter. She becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You. Why would I want to be in the good graces of the people who control my very life? I don't know, Captain. Maybe I still dream of a life outside these walls someday. A new face would be needed, of course, but it wasn't an impossibility. Though now, I'm not so sure. It wasn't easy. But the beauty of being loathed is that people will do whatever they can not to deal with you. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. And so I used their blind eye to my advantage. Still, establishing a back channel to Orlays via the UC recovery teams was painstaking work. I've led campaigns less nerve-wracking. They believed they were luring in wanted criminals, but were in fact delivering precisely encoded slates, filled with instructions invisible to any but their recipient, dropped off at just the right moments to fall into the proper hands. All without the UC realizing whom you're actually dealing with. Slow work. But as you can see, ultimately effective. Can't remember the many lives you've taken. Orlays was the man whose death you brought about around the moon of Etheria. The pilot of the Warlock. The man I had to eliminate. To hide my secret. There are no heroes without a villain. I simply arranged the opportunity for us to overcome one and become the other. And we all benefited. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home and befitting the dedication to the colonies you two have shown. While, of course, they can't give you a command, responsibility like that has to be earned. The Cabinet does have access to considerable resources. I expect you'll be quite pleased with the result, and none of it would have happened without my intervention. You're being honored only because I arranged the situations where it could happen. Be grateful. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terrormorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm simply requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orleza's role in the attacks to the Cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the Cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlez and Orlez alone. After all, I do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together. Hunting down criminals and other threats to the United Colonies. I expect they'll give me a bit more free range once this is all over. You would help me, like you did with Orlez. Track them down, and keep them from doing harm to the United Colonies. Impossible, though, if the Cabinet learns I'm the one responsible for the attacks. And how many have you killed to get where you are now? There are no great works that don't cost lives, Captain. Whether it's winning a war, or digging a tram tunnel. So we sacrificed a few dozen in the attacks to possibly protect millions. That seems like a fair exchange to me. I only hope you'll see the same, and leave my name out of the discussions to come. Well, I do hope you'll keep the larger perspective in mind, Captain. We've done something great here. Let's not squander the opportunity to do more. Was there something else we needed to discuss? I'll tell you why. Because the UC was, and is, full of people unwilling to pay the price required for victory. In the last days of the war, the UC was on the precipice of executing a final great assault on the Freestar Collective home system of Cheyenne. A massive strike, capable of obliterating Freestar Central Command and ending the conflict at long last. I thought I'd had myself, but such invasions are costly, in resources and lives. Others in the UC believed the blockade would be sufficient to bring the Freestar Collective to its knees. But they were wrong. So instead, they sacrificed far more lives in a protracted war, rather than doing the right thing from the start, and demolishing the Freestar capital when they had the chance. You'd be right. Everything was in place. But just before we could launch the strike, word came from Londinian. The Terrormorph outbreak had begun. I went to the city to assess the state of things, and discovered the Lazarus plant. We couldn't spare ships for a proper quarantine, so it was my decision to destroy the spaceport and seal off the city. Deal with it quickly, so we could get back to winning the war. I had a single ship. What would you have had me do? Ask them and the Terrormorphs to form a line, and the UC fleet was spread thin already. No, I touched down, assessed the situation, made a decision, and returned to the task at hand. Londinian, we proceeded with our killing blow. Initially, we had great success against the mess the Freestar Collective called the Navy. But then the Freestar citizenry decided to get involved. Dozens of civilian ships jumping in to shield their military counterparts. I, of course, had no trouble firing on what should have been designated enemy vessels, but my peers had lost the stomach for it. So many lives lost already, they wailed. So the great UC Navy was routed by a mob. They picked our ships apart. The UC surrendered not long after. And thus rang the death knell for the great UC. It's human nature to see patterns, even when there are none. What ended the colony war was cowardice, nothing less. We were in the middle of an all-out war, Captain. Committing ships to save the city would have left another undefended. Which city would you prefer I'd sacrificed? Sidonia? Gagarin? New Atlantis? And if anyone else had learned about the Lazarus plant, well, the risk was too great. I weighed the options. Why, that's the very problem. Harvesting the pollen directly is impossible. Too fragile to leave Londinian's atmosphere. But with sufficient time and resources, a large entity like the UC or Freestar Collective could learn to synthesize the pollen, turning the Lazarus plant into a bioweapon unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Thus why the Terrormorphs need to be dealt with. It wasn't solely for the benefit of the Sanan name that I organized the attacks. Our work will protect many lives. Once we'd cracked synthesizing the Lazarus plant's pollen, research that took years in and of itself, the attacks were exceedingly simple. Orlaze's ship would land on our target, bearing a few heat leeches. Nothing that would raise suspicion. Then Lazarus pollen was pumped out of the ship during liftoff from the planet's surface. Shortly thereafter, an attack. A strike perpetrated in mere moments, with no one being the wiser. Which is why the work you and Hadrian are doing now, the work I've put into motion, is so critical.
Good to be on the boat. Yeah, I was done too.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the acyles are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terrormorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Did my father tell you what he knew about the Lazarus plant? I knew it. The second I heard that recording, I knew. Why? Did he say why he did it? It takes some deeply twisted logic to think anything did more harm to the Sanan name than him.
I know what it's like having a famous name, but this is flat out insane.
monstrous.
Well, once we inform the cabinet, they can ensure he won't be able to do anything like this ever again. My hope would be that whatever connections he's got to the outside world disappear. Make sure his future schemes and machinations stay in his cell with him. But honestly, I'm not sure. He's in a unique position, and has done a special kind of harm to the colonies. I'm sure he did. But he killed dozens of people, and I'm not about to let him get away with something like that. So I guess that gives us our final answer. Nothing left to do but head in and see what the cabinet thinks of it all. Unless there was more to discuss. This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the Terrormorphs. It's hard to know. Unlike my father, the cabinet aren't butchers. But killing UC citizens, along with everything else he's done, is unforgivable. But if you're really that concerned, you could request they be lenient. They might be willing to spare him. Asylees aren't hostile to humans, but they are megafauna. If someone decides to pick a fight with one, it could get ugly. But they've already been spread far and wide once before when the UC was raising them as livestock, so the risk of introducing them to new worlds is minimal. Using them to clean up the Terrormorphs and leeches, though, it's not going to be nearly as expedient as the microbe would be. Given what we know now about the Lazarus plant, the speed of the job does matter. But going with the Asylees, we're at least dealing with known risks. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Asylees seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch them. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti. Microbe is gonna make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math, and a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. And here we go.
Glad they're willing to listen, but I'm gonna leave most of the talking to you two.
Howdy. Just once, they could assign me to Neon. That's not too much to ask.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terrormorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true?
My God.
An attack? Using Terrormorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orlays commit these attacks, Captain?
Orlays? It's true, ma'am. I heard the recording myself. My father figured out how to use Terrormorphs as weapons.
He did what?
That's impossible. He doesn't have the kind of access to...
Clearly, he made his own access, Chief Sarkin. Madam President, I have been saying for years that not dealing with that man was gonna end in tragedy.
Enough! I hope everyone here understands that what has just been shared is a state secret of the highest order. This information does not leave this room. Now, that's quite the accusation you're leveling. considering Francois Sinon has not left containment for the better part of 2 decades. You have evidence to back this up?
It just transformed. A Terrormorph out of thin air. An invisible weapon. No planet would be safe.
Heavens help us. Is that actually him?
I'd know that voice anywhere. That's Francois.
He knew they could do this. And said nothing.
He's a sociopath. Plain and simple, ma'am.
Officer, please collect that recording.
Yes, ma'am. Begging your pardon, Captain.
We'll, of course, be launching a full investigation into how this could have happened. Though I have little doubt the Admiral will be quick to share all he knows on the subject once confronted with that recording. Chief Yassine, can you send one of your interrogators to have a little chat with the Admiral?
I'll issue the order immediately.
Good. Combined with everything else you all have uncovered. Well, I don't think the United Colonies can thank you enough. We failed the people of the colonies by not dealing with Victus sooner. I intend to rectify that mistake immediately. That's truly disconcerting to hear. But cutting off Victus's contact with the outside world is likely to be just the beginning of his punishment. That will be up to the Cabinet to decide. But I don't appreciate our mercy being taken advantage of. It's well past due. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches, the 3 of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the Cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the Cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
Well, luckily the natural hostility of Londinian makes keeping out trespassers relatively easy. But we'll ensure its growth is contained, that access to the plant is only permitted via highly regulated clearances, and that our troop presence on Londinian is increased.
Tell the Freestar Collective. Wow. So they have another tool to utilize against us?
I'm in agreement. I fail to see the value here.
At least it would bring some adults in the room. Hell, Cora would handle this situation better than the whole UC High Command.
That is an interesting idea. A grand gesture to further display this cabinet doesn't think like those of the past.
The observers on Mars have proven such a gesture can bear fruit.
So, you want us to make nice with the Collective by sharing our state secrets?
No, I want us to display plainly the UC's actual intentions, that the plant will never be used as a weapon again.
That does sound worthwhile, Chief Kulkarni. Very well. We'll get the Collective involved in the management. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terrormorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps. The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terrormorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter.
I'm in full agreement. No need be delving into unpredictable sciences.
I expect my evening constitutionals are about to become a whole lot more eventful.
Hardly. You may just have a little more company than before.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terrormorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive. You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
As for you, Captain, the Vanguard will be providing much of the on-the-ground support for the TMD. As a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you'll have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.
Captain, I guess we've got our assignments. I just wanted to say, I could have never guessed where all this was going to lead. But now, knowing what I do, that my father truly is the monster I always thought he was. Well, I've just spent a lot of my life in pursuit of the truth. So, you bringing it straight to me, it just means a lot. The best ones certainly do. You know, I was thinking, while we were there on the podium, if I wanted to try and see him again. After all, it could be my last chance. But I knew the answer before I even finished the thought. I didn't. Because confronting him, what would I gain from that? From letting him remind me I can never truly be rid of him? Nothing. Now, all I'd be doing is acknowledging that he still has some sway over my life. And while I can't do anything about his role in my past, I'm not about to let him control my future. And thanks to what we've done together, that future is brighter than it has been in a long time. Words can't do justice to how grateful I am for that. You know I can't do that. I've got an assignment. But I wouldn't be upset if you came by the HQ every now and then. Remind me how much I owe you. Well, I think it's safe to say you succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. It's been an honor, Captain. Good luck out there.
Excuse, we should just close out the Varun files. Waste of drive space. Well, at least I can say I knew you when. Just remember, Captain, the name of the game is discretion.
Hello. Where's the background research on that guy? I know we sent someone to look into it.
The whole of the settled systems are in your debt, whether they know it or not.
Hey.
Congratulations on making Class 1, Captain. The UC military's lucky to have you.